Good afternoon, everyone. Again, I'm Gary Thompson. I'm the CEO and chairman of Brixton Metals. It's our forward-looking statement, safe harbor. So Brixton is a gold, silver exploration development company traded on TSX Venture. Our ticker is BBB. So our objective is to acquire gold and silver assets in a safe jurisdiction at a reasonably low cost, and then look to advance those projects towards bankable feasibility, and then ultimately either sell the asset, sell the company, or look to participate in mine revenue through a joint venture with a major partner. So why invest in Brixton? We wholly own 4 projects, 100%. These are 2 assets in northwest BC. We recently acquired an asset in Montana from Pan American Silver, and then we have a silver cobalt asset in Ontario. And I'd say that each one of these assets have delivered exceptional results to date. So very excited about each and every one of these projects in their own right. From early stage in our Atlan gold project to more brownfields like our cobalt silver camp, to this THORN project in the Golden Triangle, exceptional discovery potential. And then more recently, the Hog Heaven project in Montana, which is a more advanced stage project. So just, I guess in lieu of the shortness of time, I'm just going to brush over this, but I will just say that we have a very strong, technically strong management team, and we've all had some success in building companies and selling them, and certainly building out resources. I just want to go back if I can. Just on our market facts, we're pretty close to our, like a lot of companies, I guess, in the space right now, near our basically one year low on our share price. I think we're around 27 cents. But gives us less than a $15 million market cap and a pretty attractive portfolio of assets. So we're I think on sale like a lot of companies. Most recently added Gold 2000 to our shareholder roster. You can see our shareholder base is made up of very strong investors like Rob McEwen, Pan American Silver. That was from our asset acquisition, so they got 2.7 million shares for the Hog Heaven asset. We have U.S. Global, Hecla Mining, and Sprott for about half the company. With the recent financing we did with Gold 2000, puts us at about 2.7 million in cash, and of course no debt. So this is where we're located, Atlan project, and THORN is in northwest BC. THORN is part of the northern extent of the Golden Triangle, and then Hog Heaven in northwest Montana, and the Langus is part of the famous silver cobalt camp in Ontario, which still ranks as the largest single silver producing camp in Canada. Over 500 million ounces of silver came out of that camp. So today I'm going to focus a little bit more on the Hog Heaven, just because obviously with 4 projects can't talk about them all. But here's where it's located, not too far from Hecla's Lucky Friday and Montano Rock Creek projects. These projects, obviously, Hecla's Lucky Friday is a mine, and these projects are advanced stage and going into mine development. So what's interesting about this project, and today we're basically getting zero value for it, because when we acquired the asset, the stock actually went down. But what's interesting is that we paid $1 million in stock for an asset that we believe is a mine, and we think with a little bit of work, so basically for not a lot of money, we think we can add tremendous shareholder value on this asset by doing a little bit of work. It does come with a feasibility study, 1988 by American Mining Services, using a pretty low 650 silver and 400 gold. There was some very high grade, about 6.5 million ounces of silver that was direct shipped to smelters, non-processed. And it comes with a historical non-43-101 compliant resource of about 60 million silver equivalent ounces. So the objective for Brixton is to basically do a little bit of work, get all this historical data compiled in a digital format, get out there, do a little bit of drilling, maybe do some re-assaying, relog some of the core, and then publish a 2018, perhaps 2019 updated 43-101, and we think we can move this thing to a PEA stage project fairly quickly with not a lot of capital. So we think that should allow a significant re-rating in the company. If you think of where, if you believe that we're getting zero value for it today, we think with some work, focus on the high grade, move this thing along the development curve, we think we should see significant value for this asset at some point. Now, just to keep in mind, one of the comparables we're looking at is a project that was recently sold to Coeur for about $200 million at JDS Silver in Northwest BC. They put together a small resource, about 23 million ounces of silver. They spent $50 million building the mine, and they sold it to Coeur for around $200 million in a period of about 3 or 4 years. Why we like it is some of the grades, and if you weren't following Pan American Silver, which was the company we acquired it from, you probably wouldn't be aware of this project. So it's really a sleeper project that most people aren't aware of. And so this is an example of about 10% of the 700 holes that were drilled. So it's not an early stage project, but one of my favorite ones is up on the top of the list here, 12 meters of almost 6 grams of gold, 1,000 grams of silver, and 6.5% copper. So those are the kind of grades that we're seeing in the system and that haven't really been recognized, or not recognized, but they haven't been, I think, really focused on. And that's going to be our goal, is to focus on the high-grade part of the system, and can we make a nice, high-grade, very profitable operation here. And one of the interesting things from the old report is that suggests the copper and gold grades increase with depth. And if you look at the kind of system we're dealing with, it looks like a high sulfidation system. We believe it could be sitting on a porphyry at depth, but ultimately we believe this is a high-grade scenario. Here's just some of the cross sections from the drilling. This is just a snapshot of the main mine area, but you can see some of the sections. That's about 50 meters, 50 meter wide there. So we've got a series of these 50 meter wide by 300 to 400, 500 meter long. There's at least 3 or 4 zones that we recognize within the system. So we're hoping by the end of the year we'll have a better sense of what to look like on a longitudinal sense. The cross section doesn't, I think, do it justice, but just to show that we've got some pretty impressive intercepts here with high grade copper and also lead zinc credits as well. Again, it's open-ended here. At depth, we see there's lots of legs potentially on this thing as we go down dip on the structure. And when we looked at the old feasibility report, they talked about some upside. Of course, when you're at feasibility stage, usually the exploration gets dwindled down to near zero. So they didn't do a lot of work on exploration once they got to that feasibility stage. So we think there's still good upside for exploration here. Just a snapshot. This is one of the stopes that they mined out. Those little purple blobs are greater than 100 ounces per ton silver. That's really just to show a series of zones that we have on the property. This was not mined. This was about greater than 10 ounces per ton silver at surface. So there's certainly lots of juice left here. They only mined about 300,000 tons of this deposit so far. So we think there's lots left to be had. So lots of core sitting on site, which is great. A lot of the property's been reclaimed, so we're going to have to go back, basically, pull all the core out, probably do some relogging, get this thing into a 3D model, which we're working on now. So I'm hoping by the end of the year we'll have an update on that, so people can have a sense of what this thing looks like in a 3D model, what kind of potential we might have at depth. So we're excited to get to that stage. And again, for not a lot of money, we think we can get this thing back to the PEA stage and really unlock some value here for shareholders. Now, just quickly on the THORN project, running out of time here, but I do want to just highlight the opportunity here. This has been our flagship project since we listed in 2010. Every single year, except for the 2015, we didn't do any work on the property. We effectively have made a new discovery on the project. So it's an exceptional project. It's part of the Golden Triangle. The belt runs up in this section. It's about 400 kilometer long. Very similar geology. We own a very large land position, 100%. So we're excited about it. We've made a pretty significant silver discovery in 2011. Again, every year we've made new discoveries on the project. It's a massive project. It's a 30-kilometer long belt, and we're just really scratching the surface here for the potential. So we're excited to get back to this and do some more work. We think it has all the right geology to make a mine. We've got exceptional rocks. You've got this red line boundary, which if you haven't been following what's going on in the Golden Triangle, the BC government geologists have recognized that most of the major metal deposits in northwest BC lie within 2 kilometers of this red line boundary, and this thing runs right through our property here. So this is just a snapshot of the work we've been done. But you got to keep in mind the scale here. There's a 2 kilometer bar here, so this is about almost a 10 kilometer trend that we're looking at. So it's a big area. We've got a number of deposits here. We've got the sediment-hosted gold zone here, and we've got this new Chivas zone, which we discovered a copper-gold porphyry system this year on the project. So Geochem has been working very well. So this is our golden soil map. What's interesting here is that most of the historical work on the project was focused in this area where there's some very high grade, and this is where we made our big silver discovery at the Oban zone. We drilled 95 meters of 900 grams per ton silver equivalent. It still ranks as one of the best holes out there. And on a gold equivalent basis, that's like a half ounce of gold over 95 meters. So a pretty remarkable hole. We did publish a small resource in this area on limited drilling. And then in about 2014, we took a step back and we started looking at some of the other targets. So we started focusing on this outlaw zone, which is a sedimentary hosted zone. The scale is about almost 5 kilometers of strike, and we've drilled that now for about 450 meters of that 5 kilometer strike. So lots more drilling to be done there. And then the Chivas zone, which is our new discovery, that's a 3.5 kilometer long golden soil anomaly. It represents the largest anomaly on the property to date, and it looks more like a copper gold porphyry system on there. We did drill 10 holes into that project this year. There's some of the results that we drilled this year, 6.5 meters of almost 5 grams gold equivalent. That's mainly gold and silver. It looks like that where we're drilling was focused on more on the gold part of the system, and it turns out that as we were drilling it, we've got a copper zone developing. The geologist that was mapping identified a 1.2 kilometer copper corridor, and these little black dots represent the drilling we did. So we're focused more on the gold part of the system, but it looks like we're dealing with a copper gold porphyry. Here's where the drilling was done, most out in the outer part of the propylitic zone. And then most of the copper looks like it's in this part of the system. And the drilling that we've done shows that actually the copper grades are increasing at depth. So it's a big system. It's going to take a lot more drilling, and we probably need to be drilling further down in the system. I'm not sure that BRIXTON'S going to be doing all that drilling, but certainly an interesting project. Here's the sediment-hosted zone. Why we like it. It's fairly consistent mineralization, and it's not only mineralization at surface, but we see this zone here is about 60 meters thick. And then we've got a series of additional stacked horizons within this package that has about a 4 to 5 kilometer long strike to it. So we think the potential is pretty significant to build ounces on this deposit. I'm just going to skip through just because of the time here. This is the Oban discovery hole that we made. 95 meters, 628 silver and 1.7 gold. If you add the copper and the lead zinc, that works out to 900 grams silver equivalent over 95 meters. It looks like the zone has got a nice high-grade core that's open-ended at depth here, and I think a long strike as well. So it's not done yet. We think there's more room to have some good results on that project. So we'll probably go back to there at some point and do some more work on it. Just going to move along quickly. I just want to touch briefly on the cobalt camp projects. This is our Langus and Hudson Bay mines. This is in Ontario. Very high-grade silver. Again, this camp produced 500 million ounces of silver and 50 million pounds of cobalt from very high-grade narrow veins. And we have 2 past-producing mines, the Langus, which produced 10.4 million ounces silver at 25 ounces per ton, and Hudson Bay only produced 6.5 million ounces of silver, but 123 ounces per ton grade. So pretty remarkable. We are planning to go back here and do some drilling. Some very interesting cobalt numbers as well. Why we like it is a lot of native silver in the system. So we're pretty confident we can go and drill some high grade. We've pulled assays as high as 18% silver. That's like 5,800 ounces per ton silver. And we pulled some 16% cobalt numbers from the Penashaft 7 dump this year. Just because I'm running out of time, I think I'm going to probably leave it there. Just a little bit about our Atlan camp. We do have a booth here today. I'm happy to talk to anybody that wants to come by and chit-chat about the opportunity. So I guess we'll leave it there. And I want to thank you very much for your attention.